Hello students. Today I am going to take one more pathway of the photosynthesis, that is CAM pathway, which is actually called crassulacean acid metabolism. C, crassulacean, A, acid, M, metabolism. So crassulacean acid metabolism, and this pathway is also called as dark carbon dioxide fixation, and it is also called as dark acidification. So these are the two other names of this CAM pathway. Now, this CAM pathway was actually identified by two scientists. The first scientist Olire and the second scientist is Rouhani. This Olire and Rouhani, these two scientists, when they are working on a crassulacean family member, its name is Sedum tephlium. So this Sedum tephlium, which is a crassulacean family member, when they are working on the leaves of this Sedum plant, they identified a new mechanism of photosynthesis. This new mechanism of photosynthesis, which identified in crassulacean family members, that is called as CAM pathway. Now, let us take in which plants this CAM pathway takes place. Let us see. Let us take some examples. The members of Crassulaceae family, that means succulent xerophyte plants. What is the meaning of succulent xerophyte plants? When you are listening to this word, you please recollect my morphology of flowering plants, which explained by me. Then you will understand. In morphology of flowering plants, I clearly told what is the meaning of succulent xerophyte plants. The xerophytic plants means the plants which actually grow in the less water available areas, then that particular plants are called as xerophytes. And because the water availability is very less, that's why they absorb the water and store this water for the future purpose. Then that type of plants who absorb the water and store that water for future purpose, then that plants are called as succulent plants. And obviously they are growing in dry climatic conditions, that's why they are called as xerophytes. So succulent xerophytes, that means the xerophytes which store the water for the future purpose, then these group of plants are called as succulent xerophytic plants. Now, some examples also: Opuntia, agave, and also sedum, bryophyllum. So these are some examples for these succulent xerophytic plants. And this plant, this CAM pathway, it is also shown by some members of Euphorbiaceae and some members of gymnosperms, and pineapple is one of the classic example for CAM pathway. Now, these succulent xerophytes, they show certain like adaptations, like they consisting of thick cuticle. See, when you are listening to these points, I think you are understanding. I'm thinking so. You are understanding. Basically, why they consisting of thick cuticle means these plants, they're already growing in the areas where the water availability is little less. To be frank, not little less, it is more less. That is the reason why they need to minimize the transpiration. So students, I think so, I every one of you who are listening to this class, they know what is transpiration, because I clearly explained the structure of stomata and the mechanism of closing and opening of stomata and various types of stomata while I'm explaining the water plant water relationship. And if you forget, there is no problem. Once again, you go through that notes, and then you will understand what is stomata and what are the various types of stomata, and how in which way the opening and closing, that means the mechanism of opening and closing of stomata, everything I already explained. So if you read it once, then you can be able to recollect all these points. Okay, now come back to the point. So this stomata, it is one of the parts that are present in the leaf, which helps in two ways. The first one is this stomata, it helps in gaseous exchange. For example, if you take in our body, we have nose, so that it is acting as a device, so that we are taking in the air, and we are utilizing the oxygen, and we are releasing the rest of the air out through this particular nose. But plants ke liye there is no nose, so that they developed a special structure. And that special structure only it is called as stomata. Now this stomata, it helps one way in gaseous exchange, and also it helps in transpiration. What is the meaning of transpiration? The process of removal of excess water from the plant body in form of vapor, then this is called as transpiration. Basically, if let us take one plant body, it is absorbing 100% of water. Surprisingly, I'm telling you, of course this all points I already told you, but just like a brief recap I am giving you. Only one maximum 2 percentage of the water only it will be utilized by the plant body. Rest of 98 to 99 percentage of the water it will be released out of the plant body in form of vapor, and this process it is called as a transpiration. That's why every time whenever I'm getting chance, I used to tell you one very important thing: plants are very important. If you wanted to give something to the future generation, give give this green plants. We may or may not be able to give our properties, or the sophistication, the luxury, or whatever it may be, but at least we can give them fresh food and fresh air. The basic, like, minimum needs of the organism is, what is the minimum need? Food, and to breathe some air, है ना? So this minimum what I call comforts, if they want, they have to we have to grow the plants. Because when the transpiration it is going on, the water it is released in form of vapor. If you take the vapor, by nature it is very light, so it easily rises up into the sky. After rising up into the sky, they forms clouds, and these clouds, whenever they become cool down, and obviously they come down in form of rain. That means these plants are responsible for the rainfall. That is the reason why. And oxy plants, they take carbon dioxide, which is a greenhouse gas. For example, if more carbon dioxide is released into the atmosphere, this carbon dioxide, especially the carbon particle, it has a property, it absorbs the heat. So whenever the more amount of carbon dioxide, more amount of heat absorption, more amount of heat absorption, the globe temperature, the earth temperature, it becomes more, and that process it is called as global warming. But it is not happening, of course, nowadays it is happening, but it is, at least it is under control. This is all because of the greatness of the plants. Because these plants kya kar rahe hai na, they are taking this carbon dioxide, and they are releasing the life gas, that is nothing but oxygen. See, they are taking the harmful gas, and they are releasing the useful gas, oxygen. And they are bringing somewhere from the deeper layers of the water, they are bringing the water, and they are pumping it up to the sky. They are in the form of transpiration, and they are responsible for the rainfall. So this hydrological cycle, this water cycle, it is due to the plants. This gaseous cycle, it is due to the plants. Our food chain, it is due to the plants. See, what a person need, all the comforts we are getting from the plants, but we never care for the plants. That's a very beautiful thing. Okay, so please take care of the plants, then they will definitely take care of you one day or other day. Of course, now they are taking care, है ना? So now let us come to the point. Now, to minimize this particular transpiration, they develops thick cuticle and also sunken stomata. What is a sunken stomata? Basically, if you take stomata are usually present in the epidermis region. And I already told you while I'm explaining about anatomy of the leaf. Do you remember now? Anatomy of the flowering plants में I explained the cross section of dicot leaf and also monocot leaf. In that particular section, I already explained you what is the position of stomata. Stomata, it is present in the Epidermal region. If you take dicots, in dicots it is present below the what do you call that means I mean lower epidermal region of the leaf. Whereas if you take monocot, the stomata is present both on upper epidermis and also lower epidermis. You hope you remember all these points. If you forget also, there is no problem. Again, you take out the anatomy of the flowering plants leaf. Once you read, definitely you will recollect. Okay. Now let us come to the point what I wanted to explain. I will start now. Sunken stomata means basically the stomata, it is present on in the epidermal region. Now sunken stomata means the position of the stomata that which has to be present in the epidermal region. It sinks little down to the what I call plane of this epidermis. That means it sinks little into the cortical region. Because it is sinking down from its position called epidermis, as it is sinking down, it is called as sunken stomata. Hope you understood. And the sunken stomata greatly reduces the rate of transpiration. And scutoactive stomata. What is the meaning of scutoactive stomata? Students, this I already told you so clearly, but still safety ke liye I am explaining. Basically, these stomatas are of two types. The first, I'm extremely sorry, three types. The first one is photoactive stomata. What is the meaning of photoactive stomata? The stomata which are active in the presence of the sunlight, then they are called as photoactive stomata. Photo means light, active stomata, that means during the availability of the light they will be active. That's why they are called as photoactive stomata. Whereas scutoactive stomata means they are active during night time. That means they remains closed during the daytime. Whereas photoactive means they are open during the daytime and they are closed during the night time. And the third type is also there, that is hydroactive stomata. That means the activity of the stomata depends upon the availability of the water. So that is called as hydroactive stomata. Whereas if you take the succulent xerophytic plants, they consisting of night active stomata. That means they remains closed during the daytime. So these are certain adaptations that can be seen in succulent xerophytic plants. Hope you understood the introductory part of the CAM pathway. If you have any single doubt, you please ask me. I'll definitely answer you. Okay. Now let us take the mechanism of this CAM pathway. That means how this CAM pathway it is taking place. Now let us take, this is epidermis. Now this is what the stomata. Of course, here this diagram, a small problem is there. I searched so much I searched, but nowhere I did not get. So that's why I'm using this only. But please understand, this stomata is present a little down. So it is a little sinking into the what I call the mesophyll region. So as it is a little sinking into the mesophyll region, that's why it is called as a sunken stomata. Hope you will understand this point. And I'm extremely sorry for this, because I searched so much I did not get the image for sunken stomata. Along with the, of course, individual I got sunken stomata, but not along with the CAM pathway. Okay. Now this is the epidermal region and this is sunken stomata. Now this is night time. Because scutoactive matlab, hope please don't forget this point. If you forget this point, you will definitely confuse. Scutoactive matlab during night time they will open, whereas during daytime they will be closed. Hope you understood. And now photoactive matlab exactly opposite. During daytime they will be open, whereas during night time they will be closed. I think every one of you who are listening to this class, they know photoactive. Now scutoactive exactly opposite to the photoactive, that only it becomes scutoactive. So I think at least this, by using this key, at least you understand. Now during night time, as it is a scutoactive stomata, it opened. See, it is open, दिख रहा है ना आपको? This is stomatal pore and these two are guard cells. Okay, of course, it will be covered by subsidiary cells. Itna detailed description it is not there in this diagram, but in my notes I have given what is the structure of the chloroplast, sorry, what is the structure of this particular guard cells and stomatal complex. Everything I explained. If you need some details, go back to that, or otherwise you can ask me. I'll make an exclusive video on that. But whatever I wanted to tell you is this is Scutac to stomata. That's why nighttime it is open. Now, when it is open, this carbon dioxide it entered into the cell, mesophyll cell. Then it is reacting with some amount of water. When it is reacting with some amount of water, it converts into bicarbonates. Of course, one hydrogen it go out, and it finally the output क्या है ना, it converts into the bicarbonate form. Again, I repeat just for safety, a very short recap. During night time, the stomata open. When the stomata it is open, immediately this what you call carbon dioxide it enters into the mesophyll cell, and then it it reacts with some water, and then it converts into bicarbonate form. Now this bicarbonate form, it is reacting with a three carbon compound that is called as phosphoenol pyruvic acid. See how many carbons are there? Three carbons are there. लेकिन ये पीपी किधर से आया? Very important point you have to understand. Now this is chloroplast. In the chloroplast, the food material it is produced, that every one of us know, and the food material it is produced in form of glucose, and then it stores itself in form of starch. Now this starch during night time it converts itself some amount of, don't think that pura starch it will be converted into triose phosphate, please ऐसा सोचना मत. Only some portion of the starch it converts itself, it dissociates itself in form of triose phosphate, and this triose phosphate it produces phosphoenol pyruvic acid. Safety के लिए again I am giving you a very short recap. Now when the stomata is open, because it is photoactive, so night time it will be open, the carbon dioxide comes into the mesophyll, and this carbon dioxide it reacts with some amount of water, and it converts into bicarbonate, and then it reacts with the phosphoenol pyruvic acid, which is a three carbon compound. But my point, what is my point? I am telling you how this PP, that means phosphoenol pyruvate, किधर से आया? That only my question. The answer for my question is here, the chloroplast it consisting of starch. Now the starch, some amount of the starch it dissociates itself into triose phosphate, and this triose phosphate induces or synthesizes phosphoenol pyruvic acid. So this phosphoenol pyruvic acid which is having how many carbons? दिख रहा है ना, clearly दिख रहा है ना, three carbons. And here how many carbons are there? One carbon. 1 plus 3 kitna? 4 carbons. So this PEP 3 carbon 1 it reacts with the bicarbonate 1 carbon 1, and it produces a 4 carbon compound, and this 4 carbon compound it is called as oxaloacetic acid, OAA, oxaloacetic acid. Hope you understood. And this reaction it is catalyzed by PEPCO. PEPCO means phosphoenol pyruvic carboxylase and oxygenase. So it is called, simply called as pepcoase. Yesterday you remember na, yesterday also I told you the same point. Every time you need not to write phosphoenol pyruvic carboxylase and also oxygenase, ऐसा लिखने के लिए जरूर नहीं. Simply you can write pepco. Then that obviously means phosphoenol pyruvic carboxylase and oxygenase. Hope you understood that means it is a simple form of that big word. Okay, hope you understood. So finally what I wanted to tell you is by this reaction a 4 carbon compound called oxaloacetic acid it is found. Now this oxaloacetic acid, by using certain NADPH, and it converts into malate. See, this is malate, and this malate is also a 4 carbon compound only. Now the mallet which is formed, it enters into the vacuole. See, this is vacuole. Now it enters into the vacuole and it gets stored. And पूरा night this continuous process, carbon dioxide आता ही रहता है, and this PEP formation it keep on taking place, and completely this malic acid formation पूरा रात, complete night time, this accumulation of the malic acid it takes place in the vacuole. So that means vacuole it helps in the storage of the malic acid. Hope you understood. And this malic acid only, it is called as crassulation acid. So basically malic acid only we are considering it as crassulation acid. Hope you understood why it got the name crassulation acid. Basically crassulation acid, that nothing but malic acid only. Now this is all about the nighttime mechanism. Hope you understood what are the changes that are happening during the night time in CAM pathway, CAM pathway में क्या हो रहा है. Hope you understood. Now the daytime क्या हो रहा है. Now the daytime obviously it is photoactive. I need not to tell you, बार बार जरूर नहीं है. Stomata it will be closed. Now the CO2 intake it will be stopped. See, दिख रहा है ना, CO2 intake it is stopped. Now what happened? Now this malic acid which is stored during night time, it starts coming out. सी इट केम आउट. पहले आपको एरो मार्क दिख रहा है ना, पहले क्या हो रहा है, इट इज एंटरिंग इनटू द वैक्यूल एंड इट इज गेटिंग स्टोर्ड. नाउ इधर क्या हो रहा है, द मैलिक एसिड फ्रॉम वैक्यूल इट इज कमिंग आउट. सी फॉलो दिस एरो मार्क, डेफिनेटली यू विल अंडरस्टैंड, यू नेवर गेट कंफ्यूज्ड. Now this malic acid, I already told you, I need not to tell you again, it is a 4 carbon compound. Now this malic acid, now it releases one carbon in form of carbon dioxide. दिख रहा है ना. नाउ कि इधर कितना है, हाउ मेनी कार्बन्स आर देयर, 4 कार्बन्स. 4 minus 1 कितना है, 4 minus 1 3. So it results in the formation of a 3 carbon compound that is called as a pyruvate. Understood na? So now this pyruvate, and again it converts, it reconverts into triose phosphate, and again the triose phosphate it converts into the starch. Now the carbon dioxide which came out from this particular malic acid, it enters into the stroma of the chloroplast, and then it participates in the C3 pathway and it produces the glucose, and again glucose it produces the starch. Now we understood now what is the meaning of CAM pathway. So basically CAM pathway mein regeneration of the phosphoenol pyruvic acid it takes place by the starch only. Starch is the ultimate source of the what you call phosphoenol pyruvic acid. Hope you understood, students. Now you need to understand one important point. What is that? Did you notice this C4 pathway and also CAM pathway, both the pathways may, so to say for example let us take C4 pathway. C4 pathway may RUBP it is very I'm extremely sorry, rubisco is very sensitive to the oxygen, especially in higher temperatures. That's why to save that particular rubisco from photorespiration, it is storing, it is changing its place, it is hiding this particular rubisco. Instead of being present in the stroma of the chloroplast, उधर से निकाल के it is storing in the bundle sheath. That's why the cycle it became extended, आधा part mesophyll में and आधा part bundle sheath में. But the ultimate bundle sheath में, after mallet it entered into the bundle sheath, the ultimate pathway which is producing the food material, very important point, this key point you need to understand, this is a soul you need to understand. In C4 pathway also, the ultimate pathway to produce the food material is nothing but C3 pathway only. Now let us take CAM pathway. Now इतना इधर से इधर पूरा घूम रहा है. Finally this also, here also the food it is produced by the C3 pathway only. That means it is clearly telling that, it is clearly showing that C3 pathway is the ultimate pathway. It is the only pathway. If a plant, any plant, if it wanted to get the food material, खाना चाहिए, मतलब C3 is the only pathway by which it can be able to get the food material. But this CAM pathway, because it is having scutoactive stomata to reduce the transpiration, it is showing this alternative pathway, but ultimate pathway it is C3. Now if you take that C4 pathway, in C4 pathway also, to store to stop the photo respiration, it is following the what I call bundle sheath cranch anatomy. Here cranch anatomy is completely absent. So these are alternative pathways, but there is no alternative pathway for the C3 pathway. If plant ko खाना चाहिए, the only rasta that is C3 pathway. This is a very important point, students. This you need to understand. I think all who are listening to this lecture, hope you understood, but a very short recap, just in 1 minute I'll complete the whole mechanism. Now this is the CAM pathway, crassulaceous acid metabolism. Now this is what I call what I call epidermal region, and this epidermal region, it consisting of sunken stomata, as it is a scutoactive stomata. It is open during the night time and it is closed during the daytime. Now night time, so it is open, carbon dioxide it enters into the mesophyll and it reacted with some water and then it converted into bicarbonate. सो इधर तक समझ में ना. नाउ साइमल्टेनियसली ये ऐसा चल रहे हैं एंड इधर भी ऐसा ही साइमल्टेनियसली चल, दैट मीन्स दोनों एक ही समय एक ही टाइम पे चल रहे हैं. नाउ some starch, not complete starch. Now some starch it gets disassociated to form triose phosphate, and this triose phosphate it produces phosphoenol pyruvic acid, which is a 3 carbon one. इधर कितना कार्बन से एक कार्बन in the form of bicarbonate, इधर कितना कार्बन से 3 कार्बन in the form of phosphoenol pyruvic acid. Now these 1 carbon one and this 3 carbon one react with each other in the presence of PEPCO to form a 4 carbon compound that is called as oxaloacetic acid. Now this oxaloacetic acid, by utilizing NADPH2, it converts itself into malate, and this malate also 4 carbon, it gets stored in the vacuole. Now पूरा रात एक काम चलता ही रहता है. Now this process it continue like that only, and this vacuole it keep on storing this particular malic acid. Now हमारा sun god आ गया. Now immediately the stomata becomes closed, the malic acid synthesis it becomes stopped. Now अभी क्या हो रहा है, डे टाइम आ गया ना, इसलिए this malic acid which is stored in the vacuole in the night time it started coming out. Now this malate which came out from the vacuole, it is a 4 carbon one. It loses 1 carbon in form of carbon dioxide, which enters into the chloroplast and it participates in the C3 pathway and it produces first of all glucose, and glucose then it converts into the starch. And because malate एक carbon loss हो गया ना, now 4 minus 1 कितना 3, so it formed a 3 carbon compound that is called as pyruvate. Of course pyruvate or pyruvic acid also, you write anything, malate or malic acid also, you please don't get confused. Malate, malic acid, pyruvate, pyruvic acid. Okay, this is all same. Okay, now this pyruvate again it converts itself into this triose phosphate, and this triose phosphate again it synthesizes the starch. Hope you understood. So this is all about the CAM pathway, and tomorrow is the last class for photosynthesis. I am going to explain the factors that are responsible for the what I call photosynthesis process, and with that we are completing this chapter. Hope you understood, students. If you have any confusions or any doubts, you please ask me. I'll definitely clarify your all doubts. Okay, thank you so much.